The Nick of Time. When the mind makes a prison out of pennies. Season 2, Episode 7 of The Twilight Zone is Nick of Time. First aired November 18, 1960. It stars William Shatner as Don S. Carter, his first Zone role before the famous Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Don and his new wife Pat are honeymooners on their way to New York City when their car breaks down in Ridgeview, Ohio. They wait for repairs at the Busy Bee Cafe, a little roadside diner with a devil's grin sitting on their table. The grin belongs to the Mystic Seer, a fortune-telling machine shaped like a horned head. Drop in a penny, ask a yes or no question, and the seer spits out a vague little prophecy on a card. At first it looks like amusement. But before long it becomes a cage. Rod Serling's opening narration sets the stakes. The hand belongs to Mr. Don S. Carter, male member of a honeymoon team, en route across the Ohio countryside to New York City. In one moment, they will be subjected to a gift most humans never receive in a lifetime. For 1 penny, they will be able to look into the future. The time is now. The place is a little diner in Ridgeview, Ohio. And what this young couple doesn't realize is that this town happens to lie on the outskirts of the Twilight Zone. Ridgeview, a rigid view. The name is a signal. This story is about perception, fixed and frozen. Don drops a coin and asks if he'll be promoted at work. The seer replies, "It has been decided in your favor." Moments later, Don phones the office and learns he's been promoted to office manager. In his mind, the machine knew it. This is how the ego works. Think it in secret, project it outward, and then call the projection proof. Belief returns as evidence, as though the world were an independent witness. But the witness was hired by the mind. Notice the props. Don is already carrying superstition into the cafe. On his keychain hang a rabbit's foot and a 4-leaf clover, both classic charms of luck. The Mystic Seer is not his first idol, it's just the loudest one in the room. Pat, in contrast, has no talismans. She doesn't consult the seer, she challenges it. She is the voice of reason, the Holy Spirit presence in the story, gently but firmly cutting through Don's fog. The machine thrives on ambiguity. Its answers are vague, general, and open to interpretation. You may never know. It has already been taken care of. You are advised to wait. This is the Barnum effect, also called the Forer effect. The mind reads personal meaning into statements so general they could apply to anyone. The ego lives on ambiguity. It speaks in maybes, loopholes, and hedges. It never offers changeless certainty. Spirit does. But spirit is quiet, and ego fills the silence with riddles. Content, not form, is the real prison. At first, Don believes they cannot leave the diner because the car is broken. But even after the car is fixed, he still feels they cannot leave. Why? Because the machine told him not to. Imaginary bars are stronger than steel when belief locks them in place. Form can change. Fixed car, broken car, waiting booth, open door. But content of mind dictates whether you feel trapped. That is the deeper lesson of Nick of Time. At one point, the seer warns them not to leave until 3 o'clock. Don stalls, nervously watching the clock. When they finally step outside, they are nearly hit by a car. To Don, this proves the machine's power. To Pat, it proves only their own projection. They almost got hit because they tried to beat the car across the street, not because a devil head runs traffic lights. The ego predicts doom and then arranges perception to deliver it. It is self-fulfilling, not prophetic. The Busy Bee Cafe is perfectly named. A hive of buzzing thoughts, all noise and no nectar. Don's name also matters. A Don is a boss, the head of a family. Symbolically, Don is the rightful authority of his mind. But in this episode, the boss gives away his badge. He abdicates to a penny machine. He becomes a servant of his own projection. That is the core tragedy of superstition, power misassigned. The Mystic Seer is a casino in miniature. Drop a penny, chase a maybe, feed the loop. The owner of the machine profits, just as the ego profits, from attention given away. Not at this time is the slot machine's near miss, keeping you hooked. Manifestation works the same way. Yes, you can manifest a parking space, a call, a promotion, but where is it going to go? The mountain may move, but the mind remains trapped until it recognizes the real problem is belief, not form. Pat confronts Don directly. It doesn't matter whether the machine can tell the future, she says. What matters is whether you believe more in luck and fortune than in yourself. That is the turn. Not whether the seer is accurate, but whether Don wants to live in dependency or freedom. The real question is never, what will happen to me? The real question is, who is asking? When the answer is the mind that chooses, the seer collapses into junk. In the end, Don apologizes, takes Pat's hand and decides to leave. Not because the machine said yes, but because he remembered his mind. Their exit is mirrored immediately by another couple's entrance. Older, worn, hollow-eyed, they sit down at the seer's table. They cannot leave town because the machine has not given them permission. They are the future Don and Pat would have been had they not chosen again. Serling closes the loop. Two people permanently enslaved by the tyranny of fear and superstition, facing the future with helpless dread, and two others facing the future with confidence, having escaped one of the darker places of the Twilight Zone. Metaphysically, they are not facing the future at all. They are facing the present, because the present is the only place freedom has ever lived. Nick of Time belongs far higher than its usual mid-20s rank. It strips superstition to its hinge, authority outsourced or authority reclaimed. It reveals the ego's vague promises, its penny oracles, its false certainty. And it names the way out. Remember your mind, choose now, and walk out the door. Counterbalance in a small town called Ridgeview, where rigid views build rigid lives. Two newlyweds sat down for lunch and nearly surrendered their future to a napkin holder with horns. One couple remains behind, feeding the slot, waiting for permission to live. The other has learned that fortunes do not dictate outcomes, belief does. Today, Mr. and Mrs. Don S. Carter spend not pennies but attention, and they spend it wisely. They buy back their freedom, and with it the present moment. For some, the Twilight Zone is a cage of paper slips and superstition. For others, it is a passageway walked through in the nick of time.